Hello, y'all. Welcome. I am so excited to share with you about the Complaint Free Challenge. And I'm going to go in the best priority I can here. And I think this microphone's not actually doing anything, so I will continue like this. Best priority here in terms of one, what it is, and two, how to get you started on your way with great success. It's a journey, and I have recommitted to it, doing it for the second time. So I will support you all the way through to make sure that you get success. Now, first thing, what is it and how did I get to it? Okay, I thought that I was like a super gratitude, never complaining kind of guy. I thought I knew it really well. Years ago when I was leading yoga teacher trainings, I would teach about the brain science, the hormonal effects of complaint. They're powerful. We did a complaint fast during our trainings, 3 days without complaining. We did gratitude rampages. So I thought I was pretty cool. I thought I had it. And my partner at the time, maybe 4 or 5 years ago, she had told me about this thing called the Complaint Free Challenge. And the way it works is you go 21 days without complaining out loud. And she told me, and I thought, yeah, it's okay. Sounds good. But I didn't think I needed it. And she was beautifully, gently insistent about it. And so one day I came out, and on our coffee table there was my friend Will Bowen's book, A Complaint-Free World. So, okay, sure. So I picked it up and I started flipping through it, and I realized what it was, and I thought, okay, yeah, sure, let's do it. And the key to it is, one, it's about not complaining out loud. We're not facing right now what's in our head. We have 90,000 thoughts or so every day. Most of them are the same thoughts we had yesterday. That's a little scary. All right, well, we'll get to that and how it does actually affect our thoughts. But right now, first part of the definition of a complaint-free challenge is it's not saying a complaint out loud. Now, second piece, how do you define a complaint? Key component, really important. It is an energetic expression, of pain or dissatisfaction. It's the verbalization that something is wrong or not the way it should be. And the key to it is energetic. For example, I woke up this morning and it was cold. I woke up this morning and it was cold here. Last night, I had strange dreams and I was tossing and turning all night. And yeah, now today I feel a bit tired. I couldn't sleep well last night. I was tossing and turning the whole night through, and now I'm just exhausted. Can you hear the difference? Very similar words, right? It's the energy of it more than the actual words. Okay, now, so what happened for me is I thought, okay, great. And I saw more about how it works. Will Bowen's book, which I'll put in the information down below, is brilliant. And it's really easy to read, very helpful. And as I flipped through the first chapter, I was like, oh, okay, I get it. One of the key components of how to do it and get success is using a bracelet, right? Which can be, an actual bracelet like this is my friend Patrick's publishing bracelet, or it could be the official Complaint-Free Challenge bracelet, or any bracelet at all, or a rubber band. Now, see what Will did, which was fantastic. He, being friends with Edwene Gaines, they used to be in the Unitarian world, and Edwene wrote about in her Spiritual Abundance book, right? And you can already get a glimpse into the connection here. In her Spiritual Abundance book, she wrote about the importance of not complaining, and she outlined a complaint-free challenge. She said, go 21 days without complaining. So what Will did was said, that's a great idea, and he put it forward at the time to his congregation where he was leading a church. And He added something though that was brilliant, fantastic, amazing, and that is the bracelet. So the way it works, right, our aim is to go 21 days in a row without uttering a complaint. And I'll tell you, the first time I did it, well, the one time I did it, this is my second time now. What happened was it took me 7 months, 7 months to actually do it, to succeed. So here's what happens. Without this, it's very easy to complain and not realize we did it. So we add the bracelet and it works like this. I'm going through the day and I make a complaint. By the way, if you take this on, it is not a question of if you will complain, it's a question of when, guaranteed, right? Unless you take a vow of silence for 21 days, or unless you happen to be fully enlightened puff of light and are 100% all the time in full awe and gratitude. And if you are, awesome, fantastic. Now, for the rest of us though, what happens is when we say a complaint out loud, we realize it, we go, oh, I just complained. Take the bracelet off and put it on the other wrist, and in doing so, that begins day 1. So if we were up to day 7, start back at day 1. Make sense? You with me? Cool. Now, important component here. When I did this process before, maybe 4 years ago, I was leading teacher trainings and I had the center in Bali. And so I encouraged a lot of people, and we got a lot of people doing it, employees at our studio, and Balinese ones included, and a lot of students and friends, a lot of people were doing it. What I saw was a few people, not more than a few, a percentage of people made it all the way to the end, succeeded with it. Brilliant. A bunch of people also fell off along the way. And here's what I learned. One of the keys to success is how we respond to the moment we complain. What I saw, a pitfall, what happened for a bunch of people is that when they complained, they would take their bracelet off and they go, I complained, I'm back to day 1. They would be upset or in some way beat up on themselves, take it like a failure. And here's one of the amazing things here. Our success in this isn't dependent on getting to the 21 days in a row. It's a cool goal and it's worthy of pursuing. It's worthy of achieving, and you can do it absolutely if 1, you're committed to it, and 2, you realize that every time we catch ourselves complaining, that is a moment of victory. It's a jai. Because just like in meditation, that moment when we realize, I was thinking about the past, I was thinking about the future. Just like in that moment, it's a celebration because I realized that I was thinking. I am now aware. In the same way that some of y'all in our membership we've been talking about lately with deprogramming ourselves. Anytime throughout the day when we realize, I was just caught in an old program. I was thinking poverty thoughts, or I was, getting angry about such and such. I was feeling sad. That's the old program. That's the memory of my past. When we catch it, when we realize, that means we are not the program. We're seeing the program. We can't be the program. You with me? Does it make sense? Okay. So on that note, when we catch ourselves complaining, I so encourage you to say, yes, awesome, great. I'm closer to my goal. I caught myself complaining. I realized it. Now, it doesn't always feel good, and it's not always easy. I'll be honest with you, at least in my experience. Because what happened for me when I got into it, as I told you, I thought that I was super cool. I thought that I had this all down. What I discovered, holy moly, was that I was addicted to complaint. I had no idea. And so as I got into it, what happened for me and what will happen for a lot of you, no doubt, is maybe make it through a whole day, right? Didn't complain the whole day. So that means the next day, it's day 2. Very exciting. Right? Then, somewhere in day 2, ooh, I said a complaint out loud. Okay, back to day 1. So the progress often goes like this. Day 1, right? So Monday, day 1, Tuesday, day 1, Wednesday, day 1, Thursday, day 1, Friday, day 2. I made it to day 2. Saturday, day 1, Sunday, day 1, Monday, day 2. Woohoo! Tuesday, day 3. Wow! Wednesday, day 1. For me, I was appalled at how addicted to complaining I was. And, my partner at the time and my family, our kids, it was like we got bad sometimes. we would, when somebody would start to talk about something, computers, technology, traffic, challenges at work, and they would, say something. We don't have to I can't participate in this conversation or I'm going to complain. Now, another component is if, and this will happen for some of us, if getting through a whole day is too much, then okay, make our goal a little more attainable. Let's see how many hours in a row we can go without complaining. Or let's see how few complaints we can make through this day. And a funny thing that happens for some people in this is, like, say it's 11:13 a.m. That's the time right now on an hour. Say it's 11:13 and I just complained, said my first complaint. So that means I'm back to day 1. Switch my bracelet over, and well, I've already complained today, so I might as well complain a lot more. Funny logic, right? It's kind of like tomorrow, I'm going to increase my health and vibrancy. I'm going to start a cleanse and a fast tomorrow. So today, I'm going to binge and eat as much junk as I can. I've done that. How many of you have done that? Right? And it's kind of funny. It's a foolish thing. Because really what's going on here is we're doing this for ourselves. And the goal isn't necessarily to get to the 21 days. The real goal is to get lighter, to feel happier, to feel better. Hey, Leonie, I'm glad you're here, right? And I don't know with the way Facebook Lives works these days through a page like this. Sometimes it tells me when people join, sometimes it doesn't. So feel free to chime in, say, let me know if you have any questions along the way. All right, back to what I was saying though. Let's remember why we're doing it. Yes, it's great to get to the 21 days, and most people it takes 4 to 8 months to actually get there. 2 is along the way, and this is a magical component that I realized very early on in it, was even though I was struggling in one way, day 1, day 1, day 2, day 1, day 1, I was feeling better. I was feeling happier. I was feeling lighter, even though I was, I hadn't quite got there yet. So it's really great to remember we're doing this for ourselves, for our own happiness. It's not because we have to, right? Nobody's forcing you to. And by the way, if you're doing it with a partner, which is great, or with your family, one thing you never want to do is point out to someone else that they just complained. Doesn't go over well, 1. And 2, when you do that, what are you actually doing in that moment? Yeah, you're complaining, right? That's a complaint. So we lead by modeling. And by the way, parents, children, some children are into it. My children at the time were not into it. They're like, no, I'm not going to do that, at least the young ones. What I noticed, though, is as we did it, us adults, our modeling, the children started complaining less and gratitude started coming more. All right. Now, so you got the basics. Next piece is a really important one important distinction for those of us in the spiritual growth, personal growth, New Age community, because one of our favorite words, hi Elizabeth, glad you joined, one of our favorite words is process, or if you're more American about it, process, right? And that means that when we're upset about something, we like to process it, sometimes with a friend, sometimes with our partner. And a really important distinction here is between processing and venting, which for those of you who are therapeutically minded psychologists, people who understand the way we work on that level, venting is very much like catharsis, and which was a very sort of popular earlier form of therapy. In the old days, we used to think therapeutically that either, if something's going on, an issue, something we don't like, some kind of pain, either we push it down, repression, suppression, or we send it out. And that's called catharsis. That's like taking the junk, the yuck, and getting it out, which is a little bit like, if you ever read Dr. Seuss, Cat in the Hat, right? The cat in the hat comes in and a lot of fun, but makes a mess, and then wipes it off the wall, but then it gets on mother's dress, then wipes it off mother's dress, and it gets on the floor. And that's the thing with venting and with catharsis. One, it doesn't work because when we empty it out, it goes somewhere, right? It's going to land on somebody, and then they have to deal with it in some way. The other thing is, as some of you have learned in the rhetoric around abundance, the importance of not hoarding. In order to create flow, we must sometimes invest and spend, because the universe abhors a vacuum. Very common expression. The universe abhors a vacuum, and it's true. That's part of the way it works in nature, is when there is a flow out, energetically, there's a tendency to bring some flow in, which means, relative to what we're talking about, when we cathart, when we complain, when we vent, what we do is fill that back up automatically. We create more of the same, right? So the more we complain, the more things we find to complain about. The more we express gratitude, the more we find things to be grateful for. Are you with me? You follow what I'm saying? Awesome. Good. Now, onward. So what's the difference then between venting and processing? Processing, and this is true in general with the value of the complaint-free challenge, what happens when we take on the complaint-free challenge is we make a statement to ourselves and to the universe which says, I am not a victim. I am at cause. I am responsible. Right? And this is powerful. This is different than the way a lot of people are living. And it is key to creating the life we want. It's key to thriving, taking responsibility. And most of us have heard that and said that. And, sometimes it's been challenging to actually live it. You know what I'm talking about. And this is one of the things I so love about the complaint-free challenge is, just like yoga, it takes theory, it takes philosophy from up here, from cognitive awareness, and brings it down into practice, into the body. It goes from being informational to alchemical. And that's what the bracelet is so powerful for, is it makes it into a practice. We get aware of it, and it actually helps us to take responsibility and really live what we know here, that we are never a victim. Powerful, really powerful. Excuse me. So what processing means, give you an example. Yesterday, I met up with my work colleague named Frank. I'm making this up, by the way. Right? And Frank said something that really upset me. So here is, well, if I was going to be more accurate about the language, Frank said something and I was upset. Venting would be, I say to my partner, hey, I was hanging out with Frank today and he said this thing and it really, pissed me off and blah, blah, blah. And that's the end of it. So what I've done is I've taken my upset and I've gotten it out, right? Maybe onto my partner. And I haven't done anything about it, anything positive, anything proactive. I haven't taken responsibility. I basically said that Frank made me into a victim. On the other hand, if I'm processing, I would say to my partner, hey, at work today, Frank said this thing, Frank did this thing, and I was feeling upset about it. And I know that I'm responsible for my own emotions. It wasn't him. And I know that I need to talk to him about it because I don't want this to be in the way with him. So what do you think? What can I do? How can I approach this? What's a way that I can take responsibility for this in a way that feels authentic to me and I can approach it with Frank? You hear the difference? So, like this. When we vent, we're not taking responsibility. We're just emptying it out. When we process, we're getting help from somebody. And yeah, sometimes it's really helpful to talk about this stuff with someone. And we are also, with that responsibility, going to actually speak to the person who can do something about it. Right? And that's really true of the complaint-free challenge in general. The major thing is complaining is basically not taking responsibility. Right? Saying, I don't like something, I'm not upset with something, and I'm just going to talk about it, I'm going to vent about it, I'm not going to do anything about it. When we stop doing that, our life changes. We start taking responsibility for our own happiness. We go to the source, if it's Frank, if it's our partner, if it's our child, if it's politics, whatever it is, we say, what can I actually do about this? All right, now, I got a feeling that for a Facebook Live, I've gone on long enough about this for now. We're up to 23 minutes of conversation about it. So what I'm going to do, hopefully I've given you enough information so that you can get into it, right? What I'm going to do is in the comments, I will put a link to Will's book and also to a video that he did. He's a great speaker and explains it well. You know what, I might as well tell you too how Will and I got connected. So last little bit I'll tell you. So right, when my partner turned me on to this back in Bali, I got into it, right? I had that horrified experience of realizing how addicted to complaint I was. But hey, I was starting to see like, wow, I'm not gonna be a victim to my own habit here. I'm gonna overcome this. So I kept going, and then wow, it was great. We got a whole movement going in Bali. And so to support people with it, I had Will's book, and I wanted to help people. It was really hard to get books into Bali those days. So what we did, this was just the common practice, is we would photocopy books. And so we did that, and we gave them out to other people, sold them for what they cost. And so I was like, I don't feel good about this. So I wrote a letter to Will, and I said, hey, look, I love what you've done. It's so inspiring. I'm getting people to do it. And what I'd like to do is sell the books here from the photocopying and send you the money or donate it to the organization, something, so that we can keep the flow. And he wrote back right away himself, and he said, that's awesome. I love that you're doing it. My wife and I, or actually his fiance at the time, and I are really into yoga, and great. And we established a friendship. It was fantastic. And so then I invited Will to come over to Bali, and he became a guest faculty on our training, gave a talk at the studio, and we got to be pals. And what an inspiring man he is, who really was living the complaint-free challenge. And it's become a major movement around the world. So we're not the first, we are continuing it. And I am going to do it for the second time, am doing it for the second time here. And so all along the way, I'm going to be posting my process with it. And any questions you have, any challenges you have along the way, please post. And because other people will be having the same challenges too, no doubt. And I will support you all along the way until you reach maximum success. And what is maximum success, by the way, with this? It's not getting to 21 days, although that is a great milestone achievement. Maximum success is creating a new habit, which is living a complaint-free life. Super powerful, life transforming. For those of you into yoga, it's an ahimsa practice, one way of looking at it, and it's also a lifestyle change. It's powerful. All right, so with that, I hope that I have given you some good information, some inspiration, that you got what you need to get going. If not, just ping me with some, fire away with any questions, and let's do it together. And by the way, if you're into it, I encourage you to encourage your friends, your family, your people, your tribe, get all of them into it. Let's see how big we can make it around the world right now. All right, awesome. Thanks for tuning in, y'all. See you soon.